Captain John Carter stood at the edge of the stone arena pit on the planet Vesperus. He felt the dry wind on his face and smelled the dust of that strange world. The crowd of alien spectators watched him with bright eyes and long shadows. They had scales and feathers and shining helmets. Their voices rose in a steady hum. Across the pit stood Kayla, the alien warlord. Her armor was blue-green and made of a metal unknown to humans. It fit her tall frame like a second skin. She held a curved blade in her right hand. John looked at Kayla and saw the same challenge in her eyes that he felt in his own heart. He had trained for this moment for many months. The human squad behind him had fought for every inch of ground on Vesperus. Before reaching the arena. He held his rifle at his side. It was a new design that could fire rounds strong enough to pierce armor. Alex Bennett, the ship engineer, had made it especially for this fight. Alex stood behind John, adjusting his own rifle. Lieutenant Lavra King stood to John's left. She was calm and steady. She watched Kayla with measured eyes. She knew John would need help if the fight turned against him. Mia Torres, the medic, hovered near the back. She had strapped her medical pack to her waist. She was ready to heal wounds in seconds if John took heavy hits. John took a deep breath. He stepped into the pit. Each foot raised a small cloud of dust. Kayla watched him with a slight tilt of her head. John spoke in a clear voice. "Remove your armor, say it again to my face," he challenged. Kayla raised her blade and held it. "Hi," she spoke in the common tongue that both sides had learned. She said, "Do not humiliate me, human." Her voice was rich and echoing. The crowd quieted. The silence in the arena was heavy. Only the wind moved across the stones. John held his rifle in one hand. He did not raise it. Instead, he stepped forward. Each step was steady. The dust swirled. At his boots, Kayla narrowed her eyes. She tested the weight of her blade in her hand. She thought of her honor and of the code of her people. She could not back down. She lowered her blade slightly. "I will not strip before you, human," she said. John paused. He let the words hang in the air. He felt the stare of the alien crowd. "Then fight," John said softly. Kayla's eyes flashed. She lifted her blade high and ran toward him. The glitter of her armor caught the sun. John raised his rifle and fired. The special round flew with a hiss. It struck Kayla's shoulder plate and cracked the armor. Sharp metal pieces fell and spun in the air. Kayla stumbled. The crowd gasped. She caught herself and pressed forward with renewed anger. John fired again. The round hit her chest plate. It splintered and flew apart. Kayla staggered and let out a fierce cry. John lowered his rifle. He walked toward the fallen pieces of armor. His boots made deep prints in the dusty floor. Kayla rose on one knee. She looked at John. She touched her jagged breastplate fragment. "And felt the cold metal, honored warlord," John said. "This is the choice you made." Kayla's hand shook. She held her blade with both hands now. She looked at the crowd. Her pride burned inside her. John stepped closer. He saw the scars on her skin. Lines and marks told of many past battles. He felt respect for her skill. Kayla stood tall. She raised her blade. Dust fell from the broken armor at her feet. "So be it," she said. "I will fight you as I am." John nodded. He raised his rifle again. He kept his finger near the trigger. Behind John, Lavra moved to support him. She lifted her sidearm and watched Kayla's every move. Alex gripped his rifle tight. He saw the crack in Kayla's chest plate and knew his rounds worked. Mia prayed. Silently, she thought of the wounds she might have to heal. The wind swirled. The arena walls rose high around them. Strange symbols carved into the stones told of old wars. John took aim. He did not want to kill Kayla. He wanted to show human power and win respect. He aimed at a safe spot on her armor that would stop her blade. Kayla charged. She swung her blade. In a wide arc. John fired. The round hit Kayla's arm guard. It cut through the metal and sent her blade flying. Kayla cried out. She fell to one knee, her broken guard hanging by a strap. John walked forward. He pointed his rifle at her head. His breathing was even and slow. Kayla lowered her eyes. She knew she was beaten. Her broken armor lay in pieces. John spoke softly. "Humiliate me, human?" he asked. Kayla lifted her head. Her voice was low. No, she said. John lowered his rifle. He reached out and offered his hand. Kayla glanced at the hand, then at John's face. She hesitated. Take my hand, John, said Dot. She took it. John pulled her to her feet. The crowd erupted in cheers and alien chants. The sound shook the stones. John led Kayla to the arena center. He turned so the crowd could see them both. Lavra, Alex, and Mia joined him. They formed a line behind their captain. John raised Kayla's hand in victory. The crowd cheered louder. Kayla looked at John. She saw respect in his eyes. She understood that humans were more than just weak prey. They left the arena, John whispered. To Kayla, this is the start of something new. Kayla nodded. Her broken armor was heavy in her hand, but her spirit felt light. Night fell on Vesperus. The stars glowed in the clear sky. John and his squad returned to their ship. They carried Kayla with honor, not as a prisoner, but as an ally. That night, human and alien sat together. They drank water and shared stories of home. John looked at Kayla and smiled. He knew the war on that desert world was over. Kayla met his smile and returned it. She knew a new chapter had begun between their people. After the fight in the arena, Captain John Carter and the alien warlord Kayla sailed aboard the human ship Horizon. The engines hummed in the dark of space. Stars glimmered through the viewport. John led Kayla to the common chamber. He wanted her to meet his crew properly. Lavra King stood by a table covered with alien artifacts and human snacks. She offered Kayla a small bowl of roasted nuts. Kayla had never tasted such food. She held a nut between slender fingers and bit it. The crunch surprised her. She smiled and offered the bowl back to Lavra. Lavra nodded and spoke in a gentle tone. These will help you feel at home. Kayla nodded and reached for more. Alex Bennett showed Kayla the ship's engineering deck. Sparks flew when Alex adjusted a fusion coil. Kayla watched the blue glow of the reactor core. She asked in soft words, "How do you keep such power under control?" Alex wiped his hands and pointed at gauges. "These meters and controls keep us safe. Our team trained for years to manage this." Kayla frowned at the many switches. She realized humans had skill beyond physical strength. Mia Torres guided Kayla to the medical bay next. The room smelled of clean liquid and sterile cloth. Mia opened a cabinet and showed healing salves from human research. Kayla saw plants crushed into paste. She frowned. "You use plants to heal?" Mia nodded. "Our world has many remedies. We learn from nature." Kayla picked up a jar and turned it in her hands. She thought of her own healers, who used crystals and chants. The two healers shared knowledge in silent respect. That evening, John invited Kayla to the bridge. The navigation team charted a course to the human colony on Alicia. John said, "We need your help to secure the peace treaty there." Kayla looked at the holographic star map. "My people once ruled Alicia's system," she said. "They saw humans as pests." John nodded. "Now we must show them we can work together." Kayla touched the star on the map. She felt old wounds from lost battles. She steeled herself for the task ahead. The next morning, the horizon dropped out of warp near Alicia. Blue and green swirls of atmosphere welcomed them. The colony sat on a plateau overlooking an ocean of amber grass. Ships from both humans and aliens hovered in the sky. John and Kayla boarded a shuttle with Lavra, Alex, and Mia. They felt tension. In the air, the colony leaders waited on the landing pad. They were human and alien officials, surrounded by armed guards. John stepped forward and raised his hand in greeting. Kayla followed behind, her armor repaired but unadorned. She wore a simple tunic borrowed from the ship robes. Colony Governor Elaine Brooks spoke first. She was a tall woman with silver hair and steady eyes. Brooks said, "Captain Carter, Warlord." "Kayla, welcome. We hope your peace talks succeed." Kayla bowed her head. "Thank you. I come to rebuild trust between our peoples." The crowd watched in silence. In the council chamber, humans and aliens sat on opposite sides of a long table. The walls were made of glass, showing the distant horizon. A human diplomat, Mark Harris, spoke of past losses and hope for unity. An alien envoy, Ralix of House Orn, spoke of betrayal and justice. John and Kayla exchanged glances. Both understood. That words alone could not heal old wounds. John stood and said, "Our peoples fought for centuries. Now is the time to work together. We offer trade, shared defense, and cultural exchange." Kayla then rose. Her voice was firm. "Humans and aliens share more than war. We can learn from each other's strengths. Allow me to train your warriors. In hand combat, in turn, we will accept your engineering help." The room buzzed at her words. Some faces glowed with hope, others narrowed in doubt. Over the next days, John and Kayla led joint training sessions on the colony grounds. Human soldiers taught alien warriors how to use rail rifles. Aliens taught humans how to move without sound and strike with unarmed skill. Lavra King demonstrated tactics for coordinated team attacks. Kayla showed students how to read the energy in an opponent's movements. Alex and Mia worked together to design a new med kit that fit both human limbs and alien arms. They shared tools and laughter under the twin suns of Elysia Dot as training went on. Tensions arose. Some colonists whispered that Kayla was a spy. Rumors claimed she would betray humans at the first chance. John noticed the cold stares and heard the snide comments. He pulled Kayla aside one morning. "I see doubt in their eyes," he said. Kayla looked down. "My past is full of war. They fear that history will repeat itself." John put a hand on her shoulder. "Trust is built with actions, not words. Keep training with them. Show them who you are now." Kayla nodded and wiped a tear on. The final day of training, John and Kayla arranged a friendly contest. Teams of human and alien pairs faced off in mock battles. Lavra and Ralix became partners. Alex paired with an alien named Tyron. Mia teamed with a young soldier called Jonas. Cheers rose as each team demonstrated new skills. Kayla watched from the stands, her heart swelling with pride when Lavra and Ralix won a match by working as one. Governor Brooks stood before the crowd and raised her voice. "Today we saw cooperation and mutual respect. I propose that we sign the Elysia Treaty now in front of both our peoples." Applause followed. Mark Harris presented the treaty scroll. Kayla stepped forward and dipped her hand in ink to sign. John signed next. Their pens scratched across the parchment dot with the treaty signed. Humans and aliens celebrated together. Music rose from both cultures, blended into a new sound. John and Kayla danced under lanterns that glowed with soft purple light. They laughed as children from both races joined in, dancing bare feet on the grass. Late that night, John and Kayla walked along the shore of a quiet lake. The moon reflected on the still water. Kayla broke the silence. "You believe we can build lasting peace?" John looked at her. "I know we can if we keep working together." Kayla smiled and rested her head on his shoulder. "Then I will stand with you, human." He wrapped his arm around her. Behind them, the lights of the colony glowed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight they had hope. Both species learned that strength was not found only in weapons, but in unity. As they stood by the lake, John and Kayla knew their bond would guide the future of two worlds. Part 3. After signing the Elysia Treaty, Captain John Carter and Warlord Kayla set out on a new mission. They would travel to the distant mining colony on Thalos. That world supplied rare crystals needed to power human and alien ships. A new crisis had emerged there. Miners reported strange attacks and the mine security team could not find the cause. John and Kayla boarded the cruiser Vanguard. The ship glided through the star lanes. John stood at the bridge and watched the stars slip. Kayla stood beside him, her repaired armor moved silently. She still felt the sting of her broken pieces, but pride and purpose guided her steps. Lieutenant Lavra King entered the bridge with a datapad. "Captain, we expect to arrive in 6 hours," she said. "Sensors show sporadic energy spikes at the main excavation site." John nodded. "Keep the shields ready. I want scanners at maximum sensitivity." Lavra tapped her pad and nodded. "Understood." In the engineering deck, Alex Bennett and Kella's engineer Tyron worked side by side. Tyron was an alien technician from House Orin. His scales were dark purple and his eyes glowed faint gold. Alex watched Tyron adjust a power conduit. "Your designs are elegant," Alex said. Tyron clicked his tongue. "Your machines are bold. Together, they will work better. Tyron handed Alex a small crystal. This will stabilize the reactor feed. Alex took it and smiled. Good work, friend. Mia Torres joined them. She carried a medkit with both human and alien supplies. We may need to treat burns or radiation exposure, she said. Tyron nodded. We also bring alien healers who can use crystal therapy. Mia raised an eyebrow. Crystal therapy? Tyron explained. Certain crystals can calm energy surges in living tissue. It is slow, but very effective for our kind. Mia smiled. Then we will learn from each other again. 6 hours later, Vanguard docked at the Thalos station. The station hung like a gem above the planet's red surface. Large drills extended from its base into the ground. John, Kayla, Lavra, Alex, Mia, and Tyron boarded a shuttle. They felt tension in the air. Mining crews in dull uniforms gathered around them. They looked tired and afraid. Station Commander James Walter greeted them. He was a human with dark hair and a square jaw. Thank you for coming, he said. We fear for our lives. The crystals we mine seem to attract something. We lost 2 guards last night. Their suits were drained of power. Kayla frowned. Drained of power? Walter nodded. Their life support failed. They fell into a coma. Only one died. We can't explain it. John put a hand on Walter's shoulder. We will find the cause and stop it. The team walked through the station corridors. The walls glowed with dim lights. The air felt heavy. Miners passed them, eyes downcast. Some whispered about ghosts. Others blamed alien spirits. John reached the main control room. Screens showed drill cams deep underground. Dark tunnels stretched into the planet. Lavra watched a monitor. See that glow? She said. Moving through the tunnel walls. The team leaned in. A pale blue shimmer crawled along the rock. Alex adjusted a console. It is some form of energy being. It reacts to crystal vibrations. It may feed on power. Kella's eyes narrowed. Then it threatens us all. Mia set up a medical station. We need a safe place for victims. Tyron activated a containment field. We will build a shielded pod at the drill head. Outside, the team boarded an armored crawler. The vehicle rumbled down a long tunnel toward the mine. Blue lights on the crawler cut through the dark. Kayla rode in the driver's seat. She steered with calm precision. John sat behind her, rifle ready. They reached the drill site. A giant crystal cluster rose from the ground. It pulsed with pale light. Around it lay toppled support beams and broken equipment. 2 miners lay on the ground, unconscious. Their suits had dark burns around the power cells. Mia rushed forward. She knelt by the miners and checked their vitals. Tyron placed a healing crystal beside them. The crystal glowed softly. Within moments, the miners' heartbeats steadied. Mia smiled. Crystal therapy works. The miners opened their eyes and whispered thanks. Suddenly, the light from the crystal cluster intensified. A wave of energy surged. The miners fell back. Screaming, the cluster split open. From the cracks slithered long, thin creatures made of pure blue energy. They looked like ribbons of light, each with a glowing head. The energy beings floated above the ground. Their shapes shifted and twisted. They hissed in high tones that made the walls vibrate. John raised his rifle and fired. The rounds passed. Through the beings harmlessly. Kayla drew her blade. She jumped from the crawler and advanced. She swung her sword at one being. The blade passed through, but the energy creature recoiled, leaving a scorch mark on the ground. Alex emerged and fired an energy pulse from a handheld emitter. The pulse forced one creature to flicker and fade, but it reformed in seconds. They can reform. Alex yelled. Kayla shouted, Aim for the crystal cluster. She pointed at the glowing heart of the formation. John understood. He fired a series of shots at the base of the cluster. Lava and Alex joined in. Rounds struck the crystal and chipped away pieces. The cluster cracked. Its light flared. The energy creatures shrieked and swarmed around the miners. Mia and Tyron formed a barrier with healing crystals and shields. The creatures hit the barrier and recoiled. Kayla leaped onto the cluster and plunged her blade deep into its center. The crystal shattered with a bright flash. The energy beings writhed and screamed. Then they dissolved into the air. Silence fell. Dust drifted down. The miners cheered. Kayla stood on the broken crystal pile, breathing hard. Her blade glowed. With residual light, John climbed up beside her. He offered his hand. "You did it," he said. Kayla looked at him and smiled. "We did it." They helped each other down. The tunnel lights warmed the team as they returned. The miners surrounded them with gratitude. Commander Walter declared a day of celebration. Children marched in a small parade. They carried lanterns made of crystal shards. That night, John and Kayla sat alone in the station's observation deck. They looked out at the red dunes and the starry sky. Kayla touched the scars on her arm. "I have fought many wars, but this was different," John nodded. "It shows that we can face any threat together." Kayla rested her head on his shoulder. "I trust you with my life now." John kissed her forehead. "And I trust you with mine." Suddenly alarms sounded. The station shook. Lavar ran in. "Captain, sensors detect a pirate fleet approaching. They plan to raid us during our victory celebration." John stood. "Prepare defenses." "Kayla, can you lead a group on the sky bridge?" Kayla rose and drew her blade. "Yes, we will protect this station." John gathered his team. They rushed to the anti-air batteries on the station's hull. The pirate ships came into view. Dark vessels armed with powerful guns closed in. John loaded his rifle. Kayla raised her sword and shouted rallying cries. Energy. Beams cut through the darkness. Human turrets and alien energy cannons fired back. The sky lit up with explosions. Ka and her squad took to the sky bridge outside the station. Grav boots kept them on the hull. They fought off boarding drones that attached to the hull. Kayla sliced through the drones with swift strokes. Her squad fired and disabled others. John joined Kayla on the bridge. He fired at the pirate ship's bridge windows. The shots smashed the glass and sent glass shards into space. Pirate crew inside retreated. Alex and Tyron worked at the station's main turret. They synchronized human targeting with alien energy surges. The turret fired a single blast that struck the lead pirate ship's engine. It exploded in a fireball. The pirate fleet faltered. Without their leader, they retreated into the void. Silence returned. The station's alarm stopped. The station crew cheered once more. John and Kayla stood on the hull. All around them, the station glowed with victory lights. Kayla turned to John. "Your people are brave and kind," John smiled. "And yours are wise and strong." They clasped hands. As celebrations resumed inside, John whispered, "This victory will be remembered across the galaxy." Kayla nodded. "We will write new legends together." They watched the stars side by side, ready for whatever challenge would come next. John Carter and Kayla returned to the horizon after the victory at Thylos. The crew gathered in the common chamber to celebrate. Music played softly and laughter filled the air. Yet both Captain and Warlord felt a new sense of purpose as they looked at each other across the room. Early next morning, the ship dropped out of warp near a vast asteroid field. Lavra King reported from the bridge. "Sensors detect an old research station hidden among the rocks." John nodded. "Set a course. We should investigate." Kayla placed a hand on his arm. "This station belonged to my people long ago." "It holds many secrets," John smiled. "Then your knowledge will guide us." The horizon navigated carefully between jagged rocks. Alex, Bennett, and Tyron monitored the engines in case of sudden impacts. Sparks flew when small meteors scraped the hull, but the shields held. After an hour, the station emerged from the shadows. It was half buried in an asteroid. Broken solar panels and twisted metal marked the entrance. A large hatch hung open. Mia Torres read the station's log on her datapad. "The station went dark 50 years ago. Last entry mentions an experiment gone wrong." Kella's eyes narrowed. "We must be cautious." John suited up with his squad, Lavra, Alex, Mia, and Tyron. They took handheld scanners and light rifles. Kayla donned light armor and a crystal blade she carried at her waist. The ramp lowered, and they stepped onto the station's surface. The airlock hissed behind them. Inside, the corridors were dark. Broken wires hung from the ceiling. Dust lay thick on the floor. Kayla touched the wall and traced ancient runes that glowed faintly. These symbols record experiments on energy matter, she said. They followed the runes to a large lab room. In the lab, a central chamber stood empty. Glass vessels lined the walls, now cracked and leaking strange blue fluid. A console waited with a blinking red light. Alex approached and tapped the screen. Security override required. He inserted a data key from Tyrant's pack. The console hummed and door locks disengaged. Suddenly, the floor trembled. Lights flickered, a deep rumble echoed through the station. Mia steadied herself against a console. Something is stirring. John raised his rifle and signaled caution. The central chamber door slid open. Inside stood a large machine with spinning rings of crystal. It glowed with pulsing energy. Kayla gasped. This was the matter forge. We used it to shape raw energy. The machine's glow brightened. The rings spun faster. A wave of force knocked the team back. John recovered and fired at the machine. His rounds bounced off an energy shield. The forge hummed louder. A beam of blue light shot from its core into the station's power grid. Lights overhead flared, then died. Darkness fell. Lavra activated her helmet light. The forge has power. It should be offline, Alex checked his scanner. It draws energy from deep reactor stores. We must shut it down at the core. Kayla pointed to a side corridor. That leads to the reactor control. They moved quickly through the station. Every corridor was damaged. The air grew warmer as they neared the reactor. Tyrant tapped his crystal sensor. Radiation levels rising. Mia ran beside him. Stay close and seal any breaches. At the reactor door, Kayla knelt and read the alien script. The shutdown sequence requires a matching crystal key. She opened her tunic and revealed a small glowing shard. It was a special crystal from her homeworld. She placed it into a slot. The door hissed open. Inside the reactor room, a column of blue energy pulsed at the center. The matter forge beam fed into it. Alex set up a containment field to block the radiation. John and Lavara fired at the control panel. Sparks flew, but they continued shooting until wires severed. Kayla leaped forward and drove her crystal blade into the pulse column. The energy arc crackled and spit sparks. The column shuddered and began to collapse inward. A shock wave rolled through the station, throwing everyone to the floor. The team struggled to stand as alarms wailed. Tyrant shouted, "The forge overload, it will blow." John grabbed Kella's arm. "We need to leave now." They raced down the corridor, lights failing behind them. Mia supported a stumbling engineer who had followed them. Lavar covered their retreat with precise shots at falling debris. Alex triggered the containment field to hold back a collapsing bulkhead. They reached the airlock just as the station shook violently. Behind them, the Matterforge core exploded in a blue flash. The shock rocked the station. Metal groaned and shattered. John sealed the airlock and signaled to the horizon. The ramp closed. Seconds later, the station's outer walls ruptured in a cascade of debris. A storm of asteroids erupted around the wreck. The horizon backed away as parts of the station tumbled past. Kayla watched the destruction with sad eyes. "My people lost their greatest invention," she said. "But it was too dangerous." John placed a hand on her shoulder. "We saved lives today." Kayla nodded, fighting tears. Back on the horizon, the crew assessed the damage. Alex checked reports. Station core is gone. "No chance of reignition." Lovar monitored the asteroid field. "Clear for now." Mia tended to the injured engineer. "He'll live." John and Kayla stood at the viewport looking at the drifting. "Station remains. This makes me think," Kayla said softly. "We can create great power, but we must control it wisely." John nodded. "That lesson applies to all worlds." Kayla leaned on him. "I promise to honor my people's knowledge and choose peace over power." That evening, the crew gathered for a quiet meal. The mood was reflective. Together, they ate simple stew and shared stories of home. Laughter came softly as they passed a bottle of alien wine. Later, John found Kayla in the meditation garden. A small dome on the ship's deck was filled with plants from both worlds. Kayla tended to a crystal orchid that glowed with pale light. John joined her, gently touching a leaf. She looked up. "Thank you for staying by my side." John held her hand, "always." They stood in silence, feeling the calm of the garden. Stars slid past the viewport as the horizon set its next course. John and Kayla knew more challenges awaited them. But together they had learned strength, trust, and the value of life. Tomorrow they would face a new mission. But tonight they stood, united, human and alien, ready to guide two species toward a better future. Part 5. The horizon sailed toward Vesperus, the desert world where John Carter first faced Kayla. The crew gathered in the common chamber as the planet rose on the view screen. Its red sands and rocky spires came into view. John stood at the front and watched silently. Kayla joined him and placed a hand on his shoulder. She felt her heart beat fast. Returning here would bring more than memory. It would seal their unity. Lava King spoke up. "Captain, the peace envoy from Vesperus awaits. They demand our presence at the ancient temple." John nodded. "Prepare the shuttle. We will land at the southern plateau." Kayla looked at John. "I will lead them. My honor compels me to show them we have changed." John smiled. "Your people will see the bond between us is real." Alex, Bennett, and Tyron worked on the shuttle engines. Alex tightened a bolt while Tyron adjusted the reactor feed. Sparks flew. Alex wiped his hands. "We're ready." Tyron checked the fuel gauge. "The shuttle has enough power." Mia Torres handed out first aid kits. "In case of danger, stay safe." The team loaded into the shuttle. John, Kayla, Lavar, Alex, Mia, and Tyron. The shuttle's engines roared as they descended through Vesperus's atmosphere. Dust buffeted the windows. Below, a vast temple carved from red stone lay half buried in dunes. Ancient statues and pillars rose around it. The shuttle landed with a gentle thud. A group of Vesperians waited at the shuttle ramp. They wore flowing robes and carried ceremonial staffs. Their faces were solemn. At their front stood an elder with white hair and deep-set eyes. Kayla bowed deeply. John followed and offered a respectful nod. The elder spoke in the common tongue. "Warlord Kayla, human Captain John Carter, you returned to the sacred grounds. We witnessed your battle and saw your mercy. Now we seek proof of your peace." Kayla stepped forward. "Honored Elder, I stand with John Carter to bring hope to both our peoples. We ask you to join us in a new pledge of unity." The Vesperians murmured among themselves. The elder held up his staff. "Then walk with us to the inner sanctum." The group moved up a stone path toward the temple entrance. Echoes of their footsteps filled the air. Inside the temple, a tall chamber opened to a clear sky. Sunlight streamed through a broken ceiling. At its center was a stone dais with two carved symbols, one of a human hand, the other of a Vesperian flame. The symbols faced each other across a shallow basin. The elder addressed the group. "Place your hands upon your symbol. Then speak your vow." Kayla joined Lavra at the flame symbol. John stood beside Alex at the hand symbol. The others stood behind them. Kayla reached out and placed her hand on the flame carving. John placed his palm on the hand carving. The stone felt cool beneath their fingers. Kayla spoke first. "I vow to protect humans and Vesperians together. I will honor our history and build our future." John raised his voice. "I vow to stand with Kayla and her people. I will defend peace and learn from their wisdom." Their words echoed in the chamber. At their vow, the basin filled with water from an unseen source. The water shimmered in the light. The symbols glowed softly. The crowd gasped. The elder smiled. "The temple accepts your pledge. The bond is sealed." He turned to the onlookers. "Let all Vesperians know that we no longer judge by past battles, but by present honor." Outside, a crowd gathered. Kayla and John walked down the steps together. Vesperians and humans watched in silence. Then a ripple of applause rolled across the crowd. They cheered and raised their staffs and rifles in salute. John raised Kayla's hand. "Peace between our worlds has a new sunrise." Kayla met his eyes and smiled. In the days that followed, the Horizon crew hosted a cultural festival on the southern plateau. Tents and stalls appeared. Vesperian artisans displayed tapestries and pottery. Human farmers offered dried fruits and spice mixes. Music from both worlds blended into a lively melody. Lavra King led tours through the ancient ruins. She explained how the Vesperians built the city centuries ago. Alex and Tyron set up an engineering exhibit. They demonstrated how human and Vesperian reactors could work together. Sparks and light arcs drew in curious onlookers. Mia Torres ran a first aid tent. She taught basic healing techniques to Vesperian healers. They showed her crystal therapy and chants that eased pain. Kayla watched Mia place a hand on a wounded child's shoulder. The child smiled as healing light spread. As the festival reached its peak, Kayla and John joined for a dance at dusk. Purple lanterns hung from poles around a clearing. The music rose and staff and rifles lay aside. They danced under the glowing sky, footsteps echoing on red sand. After the dance, John and Kayla walked to the edge of the plateau. The two moons of Vesperus hung low over the dunes. Kayla rested her head on John's shoulder. John whispered, "We have come far. Our journey changed two worlds." Kayla looked up. "And it changed us. I found trust where once there was only war." John kissed her forehead. "Together we will guide our peoples to a brighter future." Kayla nodded. "Yes, our story will be told for generations." The next morning, the Horizon prepared to depart. The Vesperian elder approached the ramp. He held a small wooden box. He handed it to Kayla. "Take this gift from the temple. Inside lies a seed from the first tree planted here. Let it grow in your ship's garden so that life from Vesperus blooms among humans." Kayla smiled and accepted it. John waved goodbye to the Vesperians. The shuttle lifted and rose above the plateau. The wind blew red sand across the ruins. Back on the horizon, Kayla placed the seed in a pot in the meditation garden. She and John watched as she watered it. The seed settled into the soil. Lavra entered with coffee. "What's next?" she asked. John looked at Kayla. "We continue to learn and to teach. There are more worlds that need peace." Kayla nodded. "We will travel together, hand in hand." As the horizon jumped to warp speed, the seed in its pot glowed faintly. Both human and alien hands had sown it. In the quiet garden under the stars, life would grow anew. And so the journey of unity continued across the stars, guided by trust and shared hope.